Every morning confronts us with frightening openness, demanding we choose meaning before silence chooses us. Unwritten possibilities multiply around us, provoking anxious awareness of how limitless freedom burdens ordinary existence. The hesitation before beginning reveals our instinct to avoid responsibility for shaping an unpredictable personal future. Sometimes we retreat from choice because openness feels heavier than any predetermined path would ever feel. Potential becomes intimidating when we realize every action permanently transforms the landscape where identity grows. Our desire for guidance often hides the fear that autonomy requires uncomfortable, ongoing decisions without guarantees. The clutter of endless opportunities suggests liberation, yet paradoxically traps us in indecisive internal spirals. When every movement creates ramifications, our minds instinctively freeze, attempting to postpone inevitable self-definition. We often fear beginning because starting reveals how deeply our choices carve away alternative destinies. Freedom becomes daunting when countless invisible directions require us to surrender comforting illusions of certainty. We illuminate tiny portions of possibility deliberately, avoiding overwhelming exposure to boundless existential potential. The untouched center symbolizes a truth. Avoiding decisions feels safer than crafting imperfect personal meaning. Every avoided choice becomes a lingering ghost, reminding us that freedom always includes uncomfortable loss. We invent limits because without boundaries, the sheer magnitude of possibility threatens to unravel coherence. Unanchored decisions unsettle us, pushing many toward predictable routines disguised as comforting predetermined patterns. Beginning each day cracks potential wide open, revealing unsettling vulnerability within absolute autonomy. We confront ourselves through choices, discovering that autonomy demands courage to shape authentic inner landscapes. We anchor ourselves through limitations, believing boundaries protect us from drowning in overwhelming freedom. When every path feels equally possible, decision becomes a burden rather than an expression of agency. Every potential action casts consequences, urging us to narrow choices simply to regain psychological balance. Possibility without structure transforms possibility into chaos, urging minds to construct manageable limitations. Infinite options feel immobilizing because movement requires abandoning countless unrealized versions of ourselves. The trembling line symbolizes hesitation, born from knowing each stroke dissolves irreversible alternate outcomes. Meaning emerges only when we commit, yet commitment forces uncomfortable confrontation with sacrificed alternatives. We crave scripts because limitless horizons provoke anxiety, demanding unshakable responsibility for self-direction. Time constantly delivers unwritten possibilities, pressuring us to choose before they disappear unrecoverably. Paths appear and vanish quickly, reminding us decisions must shape coherence within fluctuating existential landscapes. Touching possibility disturbs its stillness, revealing how freedom responds fluidly to intentional human influence. Identity dissolves without choices. We exist more clearly when actions define our emerging inner contours. Even fragile decisions create meaningful pathways, proving commitment can anchor us amidst overwhelming openness. Possibility swirls endlessly, urging us to shape direction instead of letting randomness dictate movement. Beneath familiar routines lies frightening openness, challenging us to confront unused reservoirs of freedom. We scale intimidating possibilities slowly, discovering meaning emerges gradually through sustained intentional effort. Dual desires, safety, and self-expression collide whenever blankness requests we commit to shaping our truths. Our hesitation often evaporates potential, prompting reflection on whether freedom frightens more than failure. Approaching possibility requires vulnerability, because entering freedom demands surrendering protective illusions of certainty. We build structured limitations voluntarily, attempting to navigate unbounded freedom through manageable constructed patterns. Even unchosen paths influence us, rooting identity in memories of potential we never pursued. Unwritten possibilities hang above us, reminding human agency must assemble coherence from scattered openness. We stabilize ourselves through commitments, discovering constraint can structure meaning rather than merely restrict possibility. Self-knowledge appears gradually, illuminated through accumulated choices shaping the manuscript of our existence. Freedom often feels weightless, yet its uncertainty compels us to anchor ourselves through deliberate decision. We inhabit transparent domains of possibility, choosing substance through actions that crystallize intangible potential. Unexpressed intentions float endlessly, urging us to transform drifting thoughts into grounded, purposeful action. Every untouched horizon asks whether liberation emerges from embracing uncertainty rather than escaping overwhelming freedom. Every step forward demands courage, because each movement transforms unclaimed possibility into irreversible personal reality. Unfolding possibility invites hesitation, yet illumination reveals opportunity waiting for our decisive engagement with freedom. We build meaning gradually, crafting fragile bridges from decisions that strengthen our developing sense of purpose. Awareness of numerous futures urges us to choose carefully, accepting responsibility for defining direction. Possibility flows continuously, urging us to participate actively rather than surrendering control to uncertainty. Freedom narrows when fear intensifies, creating corridors shaped by belief rather than objective limitations. Potential spirals into infinity, reminding us each decision anchors identity amid overwhelming openness. Even the smallest deliberate action disrupts emptiness, proving agency grows through consistent, intentional expression. We often fracture possibility ourselves, dividing freedom into fragments to manage overwhelming existential weight. Choices converge unexpectedly, demanding we choose direction despite uncertainty's persistent whispering doubts. Unrealized potential accumulates around us, urging reflection on neglected opportunities and the value of decisive action. Possibility often narrows itself when commitment arises, focusing attention toward meaningful emerging priorities. Marking intention creates momentum, allowing incomplete beginnings to evolve into coherent, purposeful narratives. Potential blooms quietly whenever courage surpasses hesitation, revealing inner resolve hidden beneath uncertainty. Our lives gravitate toward chosen commitments, transforming surrounding openness into purposeful, organized direction. We approach each day expecting clarity, yet clarity emerges only through sustained engagement with freedom. Uncontrolled opportunity drifts away when we remain passive, reminding us engagement shapes meaningful futures. Every step upward reflects choices taken, constructing personal elevation from previously untouched potential. The trembling represents vulnerability, yet vulnerability signals readiness to engage honestly with self-authorship. When direction feels absent, our efforts create maps guiding movement through overwhelming expanses of possibility. Even abandoned options shape terrain, influencing emotional landscapes that accompany our evolving decisions. Pressure to choose often arises internally, revealing our desire to escape paralyzing existential openness. Possibilities sometimes remain sealed intentionally, suggesting freedom includes acknowledging paths we decline consciously. Reaching outward signifies willingness to engage possibility, despite lingering uncertainty about resulting transformation. Personal growth spirals upward naturally when intentional action aligns with internal values guiding authentic choices. Our fragmented attempts often assemble coherence eventually, proving structure emerges through persistent intentional effort. Holding potential demands courage, for every grip tightens responsibility for shaping one's unfolding narrative. Moments fall constantly, offering continuous chances to act despite our instinct to postpone meaningful decisions. We sometimes create cycles to feel safe, even though those cycles restrict expansive opportunity. Intersecting freedoms require choice, revealing complexity inherent in balancing multiple potential pathways simultaneously. Movement among possibilities suggests bravery, illustrating how engagement transforms overwhelming openness into navigable terrain. Every decision uncovers deeper layers of selfhood, proving agency expands through continuous introspective discovery. Reflection reveals neglected directions, urging reconsideration of pathways overlooked during moments of hesitation. Potential materializes briefly, reminding us that possibility becomes meaningful only through mindful personal contribution. Stepping through uncertainty becomes necessary, teaching us that illumination follows decisions rather than precedes them. Charts without content emphasize our responsibility to define movement through voluntary, intentional action. Possibility ebbs and flows, shaping emotional tides that accompany every deliberate or avoided choice. Hesitation reveals the weight of freedom, highlighting how decisions sculpt our unfolding identity. Freedom focuses naturally when purpose strengthens, guiding us toward more meaningful, intentional commitments. Life revolves continuously, offering repeated chances to engage with possibility despite recurring fears. Structure appears gradually through accumulated action, reminding us that coherence depends heavily on sustained intentional behavior. Unchosen paths fade quietly, teaching acceptance of inevitable loss accompanying each decisive expression of agency. Choosing even one possibility restores motion, affirming movement's importance when facing overwhelming openness. Direction emerges from pieced-together experiences, proving meaning is constructed gradually through intentional dedication. Freedom expands courageously when we initiate action, revealing clarity hidden beneath initially unbearable openness.